Yesterday we look at blokes who sucked. Players who were terrible, who we were buying low on. Now, what about the guys who are just well above their actual ability? The guys that we can sell high on. Michael Bolton, never trading you.
Thanks, Josh. It's Michael Bolton here, and it's time for another episode of the Locked On Fantasy Basketball Podcast. Let's get to it.
Let's get to it, indeed.
You are Locked On Fantasy, your daily NBA fantasy podcast. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Hello and welcome to the Locked On Fantasy Basketball Podcast, brought to you by Basketball Monster. My name is Josh Lloyd and fortune favors the bold. So exciting things fall my way. I'm also the lead fantasy analyst at basketballmonster.com, and today's episode is brought to you by FanDuel. Download the FanDuel app, but more importantly, just bet $5. Win $5 on your first bet, and you get $300 in bonus bets. Go to FanDuel.com to get started. Thank you also for making Locked On Fantasy Basketball your first listen every day. We are free and we are available on all platforms. We're also the #1 sports podcast network. So you got us to #1. You can keep us at #1 and you double bang. But you also get me to 100K. I like a sub. I'd like 100K of them. Gives me a lot of options to choose from. We are almost 9,000 away from that. Let's get that play button up on the wall and I'll get rid of the scary skull from behind me. We're talking buy lows. No, we're not. We're talking sell highs. We did buy lows yesterday. A couple of notes just on news, just before we get into everything. Nico Harrison fired. What do they say? RIP and see you later, my guy. You should have been gone years ago. Absolute clown show. Doesn't fix the problems, but you are a clown. Bye-bye. Hopefully the new GM actually makes some correct decisions here. Joel Embiid out on a non-back-to-back with soreness in his other knee. I would be adding Andre Drummond. He is the guy over Boner at the moment, and that is incredibly worrying. It's incredibly worrying. They're probably the two major news things I think that have come out this morning. The next thing is on this show. I'm going to take six names. And of course, they are the only 6 sell-high players in existence. Nobody else is a sell-high. It is only these 6 names I've found. I've done the work. I've done the tape. I've done the film. I've grinded to find the only 6 names. Anybody else? Lying. It's only 6. Of course, that's a lie because there are a lot of people who can be classed as sell-highs. I'm just talking 6 guys. Does it mean you have to get rid of them? Selling high is probably the hardest thing to do in fantasy because what you have to do is convince the person that you are trading to that you go, hey man, this guy's really good, but you know what? I don't want him. Why don't you have him? And why don't I give him to you for someone worse? Like, it's an insane theory to try and pull off. You have to have absolute differences of opinion with the other person, or the other person needs to be oblivious to certain situations. So this is partly sell high. Try it, see what happens. Mainly it's the sell high, I think, is if you receive offers for these players, you consider it. Actually presenting it is a tough thing to do. But it's more like if you've also got them and you're relying upon certain things, like, hey, settle down, this might not hold at the level that it's at. So let's talk about who these players are in our sell highs. Like, who are the guys who are just rolling along at the moment with some numbers that are probably not going to hold. And we're going to go straight down to South Beach. We're going to go to Miami. We're going to talk about Stormin Norman Powell up first. And we've got 2 Miami guys to talk about. I'm sure you can guess who the other one is coming up after this. But let's just phrase both of these guys the same way. Tyler Herro, the team's second best player, highest usage offensive player, is out. Hasn't played a single game. The team's next best player and high usage offensive player and defensive stalwart, Bam Adebayo, is out. We don't have an update on Bam. We don't know. We actually don't have a recent update on Herro. But it's safe to say that in 2 weeks, maybe a week, but in 2 weeks, they could both be back. So your window to move on from Heat players at a high level is now. You can see, if you are watching this on the screen, Norman Powell is the 41st ranked player over the last 2 weeks. Now, he had his own little injury in there, right? He's averaging 32 fantasy points, but he's averaging 25 real life points. He's averaging 2.6 threes, but he's doing it on the things that Norman Powell does. Now, it's very easy to sit here and go, he's shooting 43% from 3 and go, that'll come down. But if you look at Norman Powell's history, it might not. Honestly, he has been an absolutely elite 3-point shooter for years. And I don't think that, maybe you do, but I don't think it's the #1 thing that people go, oh, who's an elite shooter? Well, it's Norman Powell. I don't think people think that. He was at 42 last year, 44 the year before that. He's actually at 46 this season. So the last 2 weeks are actually lower than what it's been. But there are certain things in what Powell is doing at the moment that just I don't think a hold. 30 usage? No way. We saw it last season. We saw him rolling at the start of the year with Kawhi out. Kawhi came back. There are stages where he got to unrosterable because he doesn't do anything else. And guess what he's still not doing? Anything else. 2.5 rebounds, 2 assists. That's putrid numbers. 1 steal, look, that's whatever. 95 from the line is very sexy. And what is interesting about that is he's attempting 8 free throws a game. And Miami is playing with this elevated pace, this different offense. And you could say, well, all those changes help. It is very, very hard for anybody to maintain 8 free throws, let alone someone who had his 4.5 last season. And when you're rolling at 95% from the line, if I have a look at this, I'm pretty sure, yes, his free throw percentage is his number 1 category contributor. Bring that down to a number which last season he was at 80. The last season, 83. The season before, 81. So let's take 10 percentage points off his free throws. Let's cut the attempts, and you've dropped 40 spots already. That's honestly, that is it, let alone there's the 3-point shooting, let alone 5 percentage points off his usage. These are obvious things to change. So what do you do in a trade? Again, very hard to throw this out there and go, hey, this guy's good. How about you give me something worse? People would be like, what are you talking about? Like that, it's a weird thing to try and do, right? There's got to be alarm bells ringing in your head. If you could get any top 50 guy, immediate yes, not even a question to me. If you could get any 30 plus fantasy point player, let's say 33 fantasy point player, you do it immediately. If it's a top 75 player, given we just don't know about Herro and Bam, then we get, okay, I get it, right? That's borderline. But I think in all cases of successful sell highs, you need to be ready to take a hit. You need to lose in the interim nearly every time. It will never work otherwise. You have to lose in the interim to make a negotiation on a sell high make sense. I think that makes sense to you. I hope it makes sense. I think that theory is pretty rational. But you have to be ready to lose in the short term to win long term. And that's why buy lows and sell highs work better earlier in the season as well. Because you've got more time for that to turn around. You might lose for 2 weeks and win for 18. But if you're doing it in week 17, you might lose for 2 weeks and win for 1. Like, that's not good enough. That doesn't do anything. So, in order to pull one off, giggity, you need to be ready to lose in the short term. We can take a lot of that information across to his teammate. You know who it is. It's Triple H. It's Jaime Jaquez Jr., who was very good as a rookie early on, faded a bit, terrible as a second-year player, and awesome so far this season. I did not expect that we were getting this level of Jaime Jaquez. He is a top 50 player. He is averaging 38 fantasy points over the last 2 weeks. How and why? Now, again, his role is very clearly a bench role. He is not starting, despite Herro and Bam being out. They play different positions, but there's a lot of positionless guys. He's not a starter, right? Yesterday, in the overtime game, he played 33 minutes, which means he played 28 in regulation. He plays 28 minutes most nights. He's averaging 18, 8, and almost 6 assists. No steals, no blocks, no threes. He just doesn't take threes anymore because he's bad at it. What are the things that are going to fall off here? Well, he's hitting 27% on threes. Okay. That might improve, but it also might not. It's the 2-point shooting from Jaquez at the moment that is just absolutely through the roof. So let's talk about why that is. And by the way, look, his impact, look, it's undeniable. He's on-off, I know it's early days, an on-off of plus 30. Plus 30. Last season, negative 10. Right, that is a year-to-year, like that's an insane swing. Why are we at this spot, right? Well, he is taking a few more attempts at the rim. That's useful, but 20 percentage points better at the rim. 81%. That is one of the best in the league. And those numbers are reserved for the big Colks of the world. 81% finishing at the rim is a number for any perimeter player that you should look at and go, no, it's not happening. It will not stick. He was at 61 last season, which is not a great number, but it's not terrible. 81. He's also at 45% on his short mid-ranges and 33 on his long mid-ranges, which are significant numbers higher than where he was last season. Maybe he now is a solid mid-range shooter. Now, he doesn't take many long mid-ranges. He just takes shots at the rim and shots in the short, intermediate paint area. But every one of those numbers is way up. And I would bank on they probably won't be as bad as last season. But we just hit the interim. 81 versus 61. What if he's 71 from the rim? And when you're talking about a situation when, let's say 60% of your 2-point attempts are at the rim, it's actually probably higher than that. Let me just quickly... No, it's about 55% of his 2-point attempts are at the rim. So you lose 10 percentage points. So that drops, again, very rough and fuzzy math, 5% off your 2-point percentage overall, 5 percentage points. So your 2-point percentage drops down, and when your 3-point percentage is not like, it's such a low volume, then he's under 50% shooting and the value drops almost immediately. Like, these are the small calculations. It's why often we can talk rankings or we could talk value of players and you can talk debating draft picks, but it takes just this tiny tweak to move 25 spots up or down. That's the way this stuff goes. I would also look at some of the assist stuff. Again, Tyler Herro is going to be doing more of that. Bam Adebayo is going to be doing more of that. Jaquez's assist numbers have risen with both of those guys out, but they've spiked also again with Bam out. So he's just doing more in that sort of a sense. And I'm not looking at him as being someone that's going to be, I don't know, a holding necessarily at that sort of creation level. And his on-ball percentage is up 6 percentage points. He is running more of the offense. That is true. But those numbers are just, I think, an unlikely amount to hold at an improvement in that level of assists. It's just when Herro and Bam have the ball, that 25% on ball, which is running at versus 19 last season. Again, let's bring it to 22%. Let's take a little bit off those assists and bring them down to 5 instead of 5.8. At the moment, Jaquez is rolling. But as a 28-minute bench player who is going to get regression in 2-point percentage and in assist rate, and honestly, he might even lose a minute or two when those guys return. That is possible. Not even talking about his rebounds or his volume of attempts where he's attempting 13 shots a game. There are so many prime things here for Jaquez that are likely to fall off. And I think that we're 3 weeks in here. There's been enough of an establishment. He's got enough of enough NBA cultural cachet that there is an ability. He's a waiver wire guy, obviously. Can you sell him for a top 80 player? Maybe. I would probably do that. I think maintaining top 80 is challenging, but you're going to lose in the short term, and that's just how this works. We've got a pair of Thunder players to talk about, and a couple of other interesting wing type, forward type guys to get to today's episode. It is brought to you though by FanDuel. The NBA is back, and there's no better place to get in on the action than with FanDuel, the official sports betting partner of the NBA. And with NBA betting on FanDuel, even if you miss the start of the game, you can jump in late. You can check who's got the hot hand. You can live bet on everything from who will score next to fourth quarter comebacks. You can even combine your live bets into a same game parlay for a shot at a bigger payout. And you could put your knowledge to the test, watching what's going on and placing those bets and seeing if it comes true. And right now, FanDuel is giving new customers $300 in bonus bets when your first $5 bet wins. So go to FanDuel.com to sign up and play your game with FanDuel, the official sports betting partner of the NBA. And don't forget to gamble responsibly. Today's episode is also brought to you by Built. Built, yes. Nobody likes paying rent, but if you must, you might as well get something for it. That is where Built comes in. Built is changing the game by turning your rent payments into real rewards that you can actually use. When you pay rent through Built, you earn flexible points that can be redeemed toward hundreds of hotels and airlines, future rent payments, your next Lyft ride, and more. Maybe even protein bars, I don't know. Your Built isn't just about rent, it's about rewarding you around your entire neighborhood. So turn your rent into rewards and start earning points around your neighborhood by going to joinbuilt.com/LockedOnNBA. That is JOINBILT.com/LockedOnNBA, and make sure to use that link so that they know that we sent you. We are, as you're well aware, doing sell highs here. Guys that are outperforming my rest of season expectations. We've done a couple of Miami guys. They're also sell highs because the Heat suck. So they're just a bad team with top 3 annoying fans. So we're gonna sell high on them. I don't know. We're gonna. We do it? Should we talk about annoying fans? Let's go to Toronto. Brandon Ingram is playing really well. Now he's had. And you know me, I maybe you don't believe this, and maybe I do contradict myself with this, but I don't like to get into the idea of talking about players going, he doesn't want it, he's soft, He doesn't want to play basketball. He just hates this. He hates that. He's faking this. I never say that about anybody. Like, never. All right. Except when it gets documented in multiple reports about his teammates getting frustrated with an inability to return to action. And that is literally the only player I'll do that with is this guy. Now, I was higher on Brandon Ingram than a lot of people in draft season because I think the numbers are very good. But he's also outperforming anything I could expect. Plus, that lingering feeling of what if something happens. We already saw him get frustrated throwing that water bottle at that bloke the other day. Yeah, bouncing it off the floor. But, one head, one bounce doesn't count. He's still got the fine. Where are we at with Ingram and the numbers? Like, what is actually going on here that's causing the issue? He's a top 30 player over the last 2 weeks. He's averaging 38 fantasy points. I think he's more of a 35 guy and a top 60 per game guy. And then you factor in, his lower body falls apart often, that, we don't even view him as that guy. He's averaging 21, 6.5, and 4.5 over the last 2 weeks. He's shooting 93 from the line. And this is one of the ones, again, it's one of the ones where we talk about Brandon Ingram. We can sit here and go, Brandon Ingram is a great free throw shooter. He's a very good free throw shooter. And I will agree with you. But when a number ticks into the 90s, right? When it ticks into the 90s, which is where we're at, 93%, he can still be a very good shooter and you can still lose tons of value. He can become an 83% free throw shooter on decent volume, and that means you're still losing tons here. Even if he goes to 88, he's still considered unbelievable for free throws, which means he's losing 5 percentage points. When someone is rolling, unless their name is Jordan Poole or Steph Curry, or who's the other guy who's a consistent 90% guy on volume? Can't really think of it. Damian Lillard has been that, but even he is not 90. When you're at 90, there's going to be a fall. It's just the basic rules of this. He's also attempting quite a few free throws, and I'm not sure he's going to attempt 4.5 a game. The thing with the Raptors versus what we did with Miami is that we're not waiting on players to return here. We're just waiting on some of this stuff to cool off. He's also hitting an absolutely ridiculous number of his twos. 58%. Compare and contrast his previous years. 51, 53, 51. Okay, they are big differences. And these are always one of the things, again, so much of fantasy, and maybe it's not so much, but there's a portion of fantasy that there is a psychology part of it, right? And understanding what our, not necessarily downfalls are psychologically, but the way that people view things can be important. Because if the difference was 61 versus 59, we would think that 61 is way bigger than 59 because it starts with a 6. But if it's 57 versus 50, we go, they're both in the 50s, right? If you don't actually sit down and think about it a huge amount. So Ingram hitting 59% of his twos when he's usually a 51 guy, well, we don't look at that as a gigantic gap in why he's outperforming. So how is he doing it? Is it because he's getting to the rim more? No, he's getting to the rim the exact same amount. How is he doing it? Well, you're going to love this. 60% on mid-ranges, on 4 attempts a game, long mid-ranges. I 100% assure you of this, no chance. He was last season an incredibly good long mid-range shooter at 46%. 60, no chance. He's at 51 on his short mid-ranges. Also, no shot. These numbers have no chance of holding. Nobody, literally nobody. And he is not a low volume guy on mid-ranges. He is just knocking down everything. Everything. It is not going to stick. Guaranteed. Much like Nikola Vucevic's three-point shooting, it's not going to hold. It's just not going to hold. The other one you could throw out there is blocks. He's at 0.8 blocks. And you might say that's not a very big number, and it's true. We can count. It's not. He averaged 0.6, 0.6, 0.4 the last 3 seasons. That's just who he's been. It's just not. It's not a number that we should be having any faith in. At almost 1 block per game. He's contesting about the same amount of shots per game. So he's just getting a little bit extra. And we know that this is such a low volume stat that all of these things contribute to how the rank looks. So with Ingram, even though I think he can be top 60 per game, he's rolling top 30. The injury risk means if I could get anything in the top 60, I think I would do it. I understand there is going to be, and he might be one of the better mid-range shooters. You're still losing 10 to 15 percentage points off those shots. And that should be enough to make you go, yeah. We're gonna get a slide here. This is not going to stick. Let's go to Charlotte. I was also relatively high I would say, on Miles Bridges in drafts, because I'd see him go into the 70s. Like, what are we doing here? Why is he falling this far? Now, obviously, we know the, let's say, character concerns with Miles Bridges, and some of you may just be, I don't want to deal with it, and totally cool, totally understandable. But this is also another one. The top 2 players in this team are out. I have no idea when LaMelo Ball and Brandon Miller are coming back. It sounds like we might be getting them back soon, but it's my mate Josh Longstaff and Charlotte's medical reporting, so who knows what goes on. But he is riding this. 24th ranked player over the last 2 weeks, Bridges. Now, he should be a top 60 guy. He's averaging almost 39 fantasy points. He's at 23, 7, and 4. He's hitting 40% from 3. He's hitting 90% from the line. He's attempting 9 threes a game. He's hitting 3.6 threes a game. He's getting 6 free throw attempts per game. And all of this is just very easily explainable. Why is it happening? Well, guys are out. Simple as that. Not only are guys out, but he is then elevating to 90% shooting. Now, he was 87 from the line last season. Okay. 83 the year before that. Okay. So it's going to fall back. He's at 40% from 3. He shot 31 last season. It's fair to think maybe he's improved. True. But volume, usage, percentages all going up at the same time means that you've got the risk of them all coming down at the same time, or at least 1 or 2 of them slowly trickling back. If you can get a top 40 guy for Bridges, and you probably can't, but if you can, you do it. And you understand that what he's delivering, which is great, there's no real basis in reality of it holding at this level, I don't think. We're going to go to the NBA's best team in a second for a couple of players there. Today's episode, though, it is also brought to you by Mint Mobile. If you're still overpaying for wireless, it is time to say yes to saying no. At Mint Mobile, their favorite word is no. No contracts, no monthly bills, no overages, no hidden fees, no BS. So you can say yes to making the switch and getting premium wireless for just $15 a month. Mint makes it simple. All plans come with high-speed data, unlimited talk and text delivered on the nation's largest 5G network. And you can even bring your own phone and keep your same number and contact. So if you're ready to say yes to saying no, make the switch to Mint Mobile. Or make them switch at mintmobile.com/lockedonnba. That is mintmobile.com/lockedonnba. Upfront payment of $45 required, equivalent to $15 a month. Limited time new customer offer for first 3 months only. Speeds may slow above 35 gigabytes on unlimited plan. Taxes and fees extra. See Mint Mobile for details. All right, we're here doing the sell highs for fantasy. I think a lot of what this is as well is it's talking about overperformers and guys we think are going to fall off, but also giving you some of the ways to, instead of having reactive emotional responses to players' performances or to trade offers, to be able to go, what are the things I should just look to dig into? What's going on here that's not real, that's maybe or is real? What are those things that we can immediately just go and look at and go, yeah, nah. Like that's not happening, right? Not going to stick. Let's talk Isaiah Hartenstein. Love Isaiah Hartenstein. I think in the right situation, he has top 40 fantasy value. Like, it's not that hard to get there. It is hard for him to maintain top 20 numbers, which is sort of where he's at. He's 25th over the last 2 weeks. I think that top 70 for him is totally realistic. This big fella, right, the big fella here, is averaging 41 fantasy points over the last 2 weeks. 41. Yeah, it helps to get a 30 and 20 game in there, but he's at 15 points and 12 rebounds. He's doing Hartenstein things with 1.6 steals and a block. He's averaging 4 assists. He's shooting a 75 from the field and 72 from the line. I saw someone in a comment section somewhere say, I think this might be this year's Zubats, which again, I love to read comment sections and questions and whatever it is, because you can read certain things that then enable me to go, okay, someone believes that sell high is on. It is on in a huge way. Because I would love for him to be this year's Zubats. But part of the reason that last year's Zubats was able to be last year's Zubats is because he didn't have anyone else around him. He had no other big man. He's in minutes and production was able to stay way high because everyone was out. And there was no one there, right? And you're already seeing that Zubats isn't doing that this season because there are other players there. So Hartenstein, there are so many things that are just like 1.6 steals. He's good at steals. That's a high number. 75% from the field. Like, what are we talking about? No, he's not going to stay at that level. Is he going to shoot 76 on his twos? Is he going to attempt 4 free throws a game? No. Who's out? Jalen Williams. Who's been in and out? Chet Holmgren. Who's out? Aaron Wiggins. Who's out? Lou Dort. All of these players being out and cycling in and out of the lineups, plus a big 30-20 game that boosts it up, makes what he is doing impossible to stick. I guess the tough part here with Hartenstein is it's finding the person. It might be the person who's like, we've got this year's Zubats here now. right? If that person exists, easy. Get a top 50 guy. Don't worry about it. You're good. You've sorted. Get a top 50 guy. It's happened. You're sorted. But if the person's like, yeah, but I don't think Hartenstein's this good and he might only be a top 90, go, well, that's fine. I'll just enjoy what I've got here. And I think that I'm going to get better than what you think he is anyway. So we hold it. It's all about that decision. It's about that discussion, because there will be somebody who does believe in a degree of this. They might believe in 80% of it, but 80% of it is still enough, I think, for you to be able to execute something off the back of this. Just think, Chet has been out. Jalen Williams has not played. Wiggins has been out. Dort has been out. And all of these guys just moving in and out with usage, and not even talking about the individual regression of Hartenstein not shooting 75% from the field. He's also, by the way, 68 from the line, 71 from the line, and 68 from the line the last 3 seasons, and he's rolling at 72 over the last 7 games. He's doing it like on 19 usage, which is not super high, but he was 17 last season. Of course, he was 12 under offensive guru Tom Thibodeau, but I don't think he's pushing 20, even though I think he could handle it. But we're talking about scenarios where Chet has missed half of this time, and Jalen Williams has missed all of it. So just bring usage down, bring steals down, bring field goal percentage down. Done. Like, it's just, that's it. Like, that's sorted the issue, I think. The last thing I want to talk about is our 9-cat fluffer. What's a 9-cat fluffer? A guy that if you are going by Yahoo ranks, and by the way, if you are a commissioner of a league and you decide that you're going to make decisions on what is fair in a trade and you're going to use Yahoo ranks as that determinator, you are wrong and you are a bad commissioner, so to tell you. I'll also tell you this. If you are using Basketball Monster, the site that I do the projections for, Kyle does his set and I do mine, and that is the site. I don't own the site, as you know, but I do that site. But if you use our trade analyzer to go in and determine whether a trade is passed or not, like, because you've got to have a certain, like, it's got to be within 2 or 3 points or value. Look, it's bad ideas. Don't do that. You are not the arbiter of value. My projections on things are not the be all and end all. They are not 100% correct. They never will be. Do not do that as a commissioner. Absolutely do not. And especially don't do it using Yahoo ranks. But who's our 9-cat fluffer? A guy that you go on Yahoo and go, wow, really? Oh yeah, he's ranked this high. Like, of course that's a trade. And we're talking the Hong Kong mattress. Cason Wallace is a guy that I do believe that we will be having the discussion in 3 weeks' time that, do we dropping this guy? He is ranked 49th over the last 2 weeks on 9-cat rankings. My head-to-head rankings have him 102, which also I think he's going to end up looking too high. He's averaging 10 points. Well below average. He's averaging 3 rebounds. Well below average. 2 assists. Well below average. 0.3 blocks. Well below average. He's hitting 2 threes. It's requiring him to shoot 45% from 3 to get there. He's hitting 100% of his free throws. That's all cool. And he's getting 2.4 steals. He's being carried by steals. Ignore those outliers. They're Hartensteins. I forgot to take them off the screen. He's being carried by steals. And we know that the way that the Yahoo algorithm works is not reflective of the way that a head-to-head league is played. He also, of course, doesn't get any turnovers because he doesn't get any assists and he doesn't score. And like I will continually say with my valuation on turnovers and how it impacts head-to-head leagues. If you are prioritizing low turnovers, you are prioritizing low assists and points at the same time, which is not a good trade-off. And if you end up having low assists and points on your team anyway, well, you'll end up just low turnovers. It will just happen. So nobody, I think, should look at Cason Wallace's numbers and go below average in 1. He's actually below average in 3s as well. No, that's true. Those 2 threes are they're 1.95, I think, is average for 3. So he's just above it. He's giving you a positive in 1 huge category in steals, and even though he's 100% from the line, because he takes no attempts, it's barely there. It's steals. Like, is that a top 50 player? Like, it absolutely is not. So, take that valuation and use it to turn into something. Because I do believe we'll be having the discussion that he is a droppable player. If you can get a top 80 player for Cason Wallace, even though he's running 49th at the moment in 9-cat, I would do it 100 times. I love Cason Wallace. I think he is going to be, at some point in the future, an actual real top 60 player. But not on this current iteration of the Thunder. I don't think that can happen. What I do think can happen is that is the end of the show. So, I gave you the definitive only 6 sell high guys in the entire league. And if you've got other names, drop them in the comments. I'll just reply to you that it's wrong. Done. Subscribe, thumb up, leave your comments down below. Double bang us to 100K, guys. We are done here. Thank you so much for listening, everyone. See ya.